Hello, this is Mrs. Font, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about modeling and sculpture. And anytime you're doing artwork that involves modeling or sculpture, you are creating something that is three-dimensional. So you are creating some artwork that needs to be viewed or can be viewed from all sides. So as the artist, you need to consider all sides and make sure it looks the way you want it from all sides of your artwork. So I've included three different things. I've included two dough recipes. Big disappointment was we didn't get to do clay. We were just getting it out when we were dismissed from school. So anyway, I included some dough recipes. They're not quite the same as using the dough at school or the clay at school, but these are pretty nice. This is a Play-Doh or a Kool-Aid Play-Doh that I really love. It really is a nice texture and it lasts a super long time if you use the cream of tartar in the recipe. And it smells super good. This one is grape and it's kind of purple because it's grape. And then the other dough recipe that I included is salt dough. And this is interesting stuff. The third thing that I left on the learning document was to do sculpture with tinfoil. So that's not dough at all, but it is very fun to see what you can create with tinfoil. And I showed some examples on that document. But right now I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the salt dough. The cool thing about this is that you can create something and then bake it, and then you can keep it for as long as you would like. You could keep it, you can make ornaments and put them on your tree every year. You can paint it after it's been baked, so that's kind of fun too. So just remember with the salt dough or with the Play-Doh too, all the different things you can do with clay to make it more interesting. And one of those things is to add texture. So I'm going to tilt down my screen so that you can see how I'm going to do that. I'm going to just flatten out that salt dough. And of course you'd want to shape it. Maybe you want to cut it into a shape first. I've got a star. You could do that. I don't have my dough big enough for that star, or I've got this little circular thing I could cut. But certainly I could use different tools that I find or different things I find around the house to add texture. I can just press that in, and that makes my whatever I create a lot more interesting. I can use just a paper clip to add some interesting patterns around the edges, or here's a marker. I'm just going to stamp in some polka dots. Lots of things you can add texture with to your clay. And then another thing, of course, we've talked about, I think all of you should remember about creating coils with clay. So you can just roll a coil. My dough is a little sticky here. I should have added just a little more flour to it when I was using it or making it. But with that coil, then you can do some interesting building as well. So I'm going to, for example, roll it into a spiral. And I think I'm going to just create a whole bunch of little spirals here, and then I might stick them together. Yeah, I do need to be sure to add enough flour to my salt dough if I want to make it a little easier to work with. But I'm going to roll those into little spirals and stick them together, and then once I get enough of those together, I think I could add a big long trunk to it, and it'd be kind of this creative tree. And I've got more dough, but I could add more to that, and then let that dry, and then bake it. And then when it was out of the oven, I could paint it as well. And then a third thing that's kind of fun that you can also do with the salt dough is you could roll some little spheres. So I'm going to roll a sphere like that, and then it really is easiest to let that dry first, but I could take a toothpick and just poke a hole through it and then bake it, and I could create a whole bunch of these and make some beads with them, or just a few, maybe just three that I would string through some kind of string and create a necklace or something like that. So that is something interesting we could do as well. And here's even a heart that I had created, and I poked a hole through it, so now I could bake it and paint it, and it could make an interesting maybe pendant or something like that. So, some fun with dough at home and sculpture. So, remember, sculpture can be just about anything you like. You could do all kinds of things with three-dimensional artwork. So, I hope you get a chance to be creative this week, try out maybe my clay recipes, and just have a lot of fun with it. See you later.